Hello there, this is Russ Bucher with ControlMyNikon, and in this video we're going to take a look at how you can adjust the user interface. Now there's some very basic things you can do to make ControlMyNikon a little bit easier to arrange on your monitor, or if you have multiple monitors you can use those monitors as well and basically break up ControlMyNikon into smaller pieces and distribute them amongst the different monitors. Now if you go over to the Tools menu and over to Themes, you can adjust the colors. So here it's the default theme is default, gives you this grayish background. If I change it to aluminum, it looks like this. And so there's 101 different themes, and you can use this just to make the colors a little bit easier on your eyes. I'll bring it back to default. And I'll close that. Now there's a tutorial video on how to use themes as well. Another thing you can do if you find that the fonts look very small and you might be in poor lighting conditions, maybe outdoors with a small laptop, you can use the UI magnifier. And the UI magnifier is just this little lens here that allows you to see a little bit more clearly what is underneath this. And this is real helpful on very small monitors, say notebooks. Now to get rid of this, all you need to do is double click on it. If you want to bring it back up, you go to Tools menu, UI magnifier, and there it is. Now you'll notice that you can also magnify the image. But this is really only magnifying the pixels that are already displayed on your monitor. And it's not a true magnification of the actual image data that is within that image. Let's take a look at how we can magnify image data properly. So what I'll do here is I'm just going to double click on it to get rid of it. And I'm going to double click on this image. This is a hood ornament off of an old car. If I double click here, it brings up the image magnifier. You notice how this one is square, the other one is round. Now this one can zoom in to the image data. And this image is 3872 by 2592 in dimension here, and we're probably only looking at maybe an 8 by 600 rendering of it here. So when you magnify with this rectangular magnifier, it looks at the underlying data. So if I use my mouse wheel, I could zoom in. And we could just drag it around. If you want to get rid of it, you just double click on it. Double click to bring it back up. Or you can use the right click on the mouse to toggle the magnifier. And here's the different magnification levels. So if I want to go to maximum magnification and then toggle it, I could do that. And it goes right down to the pixel level. So if you want to zoom in on your finished image, use this rectangular magnifier. And it's a great way to quickly see if what you intended to be in focus is actually in focus. Let's see what else we have. Now within the image browser area here, we have these splitter bars, and these are used for resizing. So you just drag them left or right, and if you double click on them, the panel will reduce to its smallest size. And then you can either drag it back or double click on it to bring it back to the previous size. And this is pretty handy, especially if you're dealing with different size images of different aspect ratios, or maybe even portrait images such as this one. So you might decide that, oh, I want to see a little bit more data over here, and then I still have enough room to see my image. Okay, I'm just going to return these back here. Now you can see the same thing happens on the right hand side here. And here we're showing some image metadata, and you can hide these. You just click on them once. And the computer will remember the position or the state of these splitters and these boxes here. So next time if you hide them, when you start it up again, they'll be hidden again. Now on the histogram here, you can also resize it. You notice when I move my mouse over here, it shows the current histogram data for the cursor that is underneath the mouse. So if I move it here into all this orange, that's what it looks like. Over here, it's very bright, so it goes further to the right. So that's the luminance channel. If I left click on the histogram, that's your red channel, green, blue, and click on it again to bring it back to luminance. Okay, so if I wanted to hide the histogram, I could do this. If I wanted to hide the metadata, I could just double click here. So now we're getting a lot more room. If I double click this, and we double click this one, now you're seeing it in much larger area. If I wanted to explore this image further with my magnifier, I could double click just on the image, take a look around, make sure everything I want is in correct focus. Okay, we'll have another video coming up that deals just with the image browser. Let's go back to this image here. Now you notice this data that is underneath the thumbnails here. You can adjust that if you just go to Configure. And here's all the information that is currently shown there. You may, for example, want the histogram shown here. So you can just bring it over, move it into position that you like. And now instead of relying on the histogram, which is in the upper right-hand corner, you can just look at this histogram. So that's a great way to browse the exposure information for your images. Okay, I'm just going to take that off there, so I'll right-click, we'll configure, double-click on histogram, and it's gone. So if you need a little bit more room, you could just drag this down, and now you're only looking at the thumbnail and the file name. Okay, I'm just going to bring those panels back up, so I'll double-click, and now there's another panel here on the left-hand side, and this is where we set up all the settings for the camera, but we can drag this wider and narrower. Now this is the minimum width for it, but if you need more room, you can double-click on this splitter, and it hides it completely. Double-click again to bring it back. Now a lot of the different functionality of the program can also be done using keystrokes. And so if you go to the Tools menu, down to Shortcuts, it shows a list of all the different actions. And by default, we set up some shortcuts for these actions. For example, if you went Shift-C or Shift-D, it'll control or disconnect. Saving a profile is Control-S. Toggling between the image browser and live view is space. And you'll see more of this when we get into our videos about using the live view. But basically, the live view window sits in behind the image browser. So if you're in live view and you've just captured an image, you can just press the space bar and quickly view it in the browser, press space bar again, go back to live view. Now you can also take the image browser and live view and move them into separate windows, and then if you wanted to, move them onto separate monitors. So if I go to the View menu, I go View, Browser, see it's currently attached, but let's go Browser Detached. Okay, so now this is a separate window. You can resize it as you need, and you could even take this and move it over to another monitor. So that's real handy because right now, if that's on another monitor, you're just looking at live view on the main monitor. And so using multiple monitors is real nice, especially in a lab or studio environment. Now you can resize this and force it to go full screen, basically toggling between full screen and this current size by clicking on this white square in the upper right hand corner. So I'll click on it now, toggles it full screen, click on it again, and brings it back to this size. So you could use that to bring it full screen on the other monitor. Now I'm going to reattach this. So browser attached. Okay, so let's detach it again and see what's underneath it. It's going to resize it a bit here. This window here, it's black now, is actually the live view window. And here's all the live view controls. We're not connected to any camera now, so it's not showing live view. You can also take that live view window and detach it. And now you have two separate windows. You have your main control window. This is kind of like the old ControlMyNikon version 4. And you may decide that you want to use your own image browser, so you could just go to the image browser here and make it hidden. And with a live view window, you may want to put that on a different monitor or leave it over here and maybe put something else in here that you need. So it's very flexible. Now you could take this live view window and you could reattach it as well. So right now you can see we have the browser is hidden, live view attached. And let's say maybe I wanted to put my browser back, and I could put my live view back as well. So now the live view is underneath it. Take my browser off, and there it is. We can't hide the live view window. It has to be part of the system. Whereas the browser, you can hide it completely. Okay, so now you'll see that we have the browser is hidden and the live view is attached, but you're wondering, where is the live view window? All you have to do is you just drag this wider, where you can maximize it, and there it is again. Okay, I'll bring them both back to where they were when we started. Browser attached and live view attached. So as you can see, there's a lot of different ways that you can configure the user interface on ControlMyNikon. Go ahead and experiment a little bit and set it up for exactly how you need it. Happy tethering.